Watching Whiplash, I remember there was a lot of those sort of like, almost like staccato images, like boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
of like a cymbal or a drumstick. And I noticed that some in this too. I think if maybe he puts like a record player down or
Yeah.
something. You have some of those like 3-beat salvo kind of a things. Is that why? Why do you like that? I mean, you're building your little auteur legacy here, early stages of it. But why is that like powerful for you?
It's hard to say. I just like the feeling of it. I mean, I have working with the same editor, Tom Cross, who cut Whiplash, and he and I just we have a shorthand, and we also have a shared love for just a lot of the same movies and a lot of the same moments in movies, and yeah, I think so. I think it certainly started in Whiplash, and it was that idea of like, how does the world feel like to a jazz musician? And I was a jazz drummer myself, and so there was something about that kind of where it's all about rhythm, trying to lock right into the tempo, and but it's like, but that it was all about like the timing and just the sort of kineticism of that. I love that you can literally create a sense of music just through editing, even if there's no music on screen.
One of the most imperative rudiments of a film is its rhythm. A velociously enthralling and sensational rhythm is a requisite to convey the unrelenting, precarious temperament of humanity. Alternatively, an oeuvre by a meditative filmmaker necessitates a lethargic rhythm that is, just as of the essence to the diegesis as the diegesis itself, and in a film about music, rhythm is the element that conclusively tethers the worlds of music and cinema. From the extensive portfolio of films about musicians, Damien Chazelle's Whiplash is conspicuously the one that is eminent to efficaciously maneuver the editing to delineate the melodious sphere it illustrates. It portrays the narrative of Andrew Naiman, an aspiring young jazz drummer at one of the world's most prominent music conservatories. His ardor and sanity are scrutinized when the notoriously remorseless mentor Terence Fletcher venerates his competencies and commences to domineer him by channeling him to the threshold that causes him to feel vulnerable and tormented. Pace and editing are essential to the fundamental nature of Whiplash. They facilitate to demonstrate the competitive and unforeseeable nature of the music industry, the belligerence of enthusiasm, and the tension in the film's core relationships. Certainly, adopting nimble and tumultuous editing to emphasize these themes is not concocted by Chazelle, but the technique he employs is inimitable and unprecedented. Vitally, Whiplash is analogous to a drum solo, in the vein of the one Andrew implements at the initiation of the film to get himself recruited by Terence, in conjunction with the one he plays at the culmination of the film to corroborate to his audience that he is indeed venerable. In the division of drumming, a dichotomy endures. On the broadcasting record, a drummer is conventionally tasked with perpetuating a rhythm. Ordinarily, a drummer is unfaltering, distinct from what else is persisting in the composition. Whiplash apprises the audience that jazz drumming is a consummately discrete space. The intricacies of a jazz drum solo are uncertain, and Chazelle mirrors this fact consistently throughout his film. Reminiscent to the pulsation of a jazz drum solo, Not a Soul in Whiplash depicts what we envisage them to. When we are acquainted to Terence, it is under the context that he is an imperceptible and a disreputably callous figure. So, when he escorts Andrew in isolation after intriguing him to play in his elite ensemble, and illuminates to him to solely do his best, he is already defying what we deemed of him in the first act itself. And then, when he unveils his true nature, our intuition of him that we discerned is produced to be the conclusion. Terrence is not a solitary fragment of Whiplash's unpredictable diegesis. To efficaciously refabricate a drum solo, Chazelle establishes multiple aspects of Andrew's life that we foresee to be articulated a certain way. Then, he contrives those expectations. For instance, Andrew's relationship with Nicole. The two have a classic meet-cute, a trope that principally does not manifest itself in a film unless the director stipulates the audience to endorse the relationship. But, halfway through Whiplash, Andrew disavows Nicole unexpectedly, conceivably because of her perceived privation of motivation, and we contemplate for them to reconcile. But they did not. Andrew's domesticity also harmonizes a similar trajectory like his relationship with Nicole. From the commencement of Whiplash, it is perceptible that Andrew and his father have established a good rapport. So, we conjecture the character will be faithful throughout the film. But, Andrew's father takes an unanticipated turn on his son when he enunciates an inconceivable splenetic retort about the young boy, that he'll never play at Carnegie Hall. During the course of the film, Chazelle ceaselessly reiterates to the audience that exert oneself we might, but we cannot deduce what will eventuate. Just when we cogitate that we are able to fathom the convolutedness of its rhythm, like a jazz drum solo, it astonishes us by deviating from its course altogether. This framework is also emanated in the vacillating nature of the narrative itself. Inherently, Andrew and Terrence's relationship are profoundly turbulent of the film. In the first scene, Terrence comes across Andrew in a practice room and gives the impression to appreciate his practicing. Then, he takes his leave insolently. He is discernibly chagrined, but then he incentivizes Andrew to perform with the band, only to supersede him with another drummer. After that, Terrence sanctions Andrew with another opportunity at the throne, but then ousts him from the band. Later, Terrence invites Andrew to play with a band that is not associated with the school, but he deceives him by compelling him to play the symphony he is incognizant of. But then, Andrew improvises a phenomenal drum solo and Terrence is adequately overwhelmed. The relationship between Andrew and Terrence is beyond a sporadically tempestuous affair, outlining a distinction between Andrew as a backup drummer and Andrew as a jazz drummer. Throughout Whiplash, Andrew devises his riposte with vehemence. The film, which begins with Andrew playing deliberate but tantalizing tempos of a drum, concludes with him playing a prevailing final cadence. Even though he falters, but Andrew controls the film's narrative and rhythm every step of the way. After all, that oscillation is just part of the idiosyncrasy of a jazz drum solo.